Hi, I'm Casey Lueders, and this is Could Be Pretty Cool. Today, we're heading into a corner of creative entrepreneurship that this show hasn't covered yet: real estate development. Nick Khamsopa is an affordable housing developer working in New York's Hudson Valley and is the founder of Hudson Housing Lifestyle. His work sits inside New York State's push to build 800,000 units of housing by 2030, an effort backed by state subsidy money aimed at keeping rents reachable for the people who actually keep the community running. Nick didn't get here through real estate school, however. He started in construction, and the way he tells the story of how a kid with one very specific fascination ended up developing multi-million-dollar projects is definitely worth hearing in his own words. We talk about learning business by failing at it, the moment he realized he was in the wrong part of the industry, what affordable housing actually means, and it's probably not what you're picturing, and why he'd argue the most valuable thing you can build isn't a business at all. Let's get into it. So I'm really excited about today's episode because it is an area of creative entrepreneurship that we have yet to explore on this podcast. And I don't want to give anything away, but our guest today has had a very interesting career trajectory. And I'm so happy that you are joining us today, Nick. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So could you tell the people a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm Nick Khamsopa. I'm actually a affordable housing developer in New York State. Part of the government mission statement is to develop 800,000 units by 2030 to bring back the talent that's leaving New York to make New York affordability. She had implemented a subsidy program to assist developer so we can keep the rent roll under AMI.
And may I ask, how did you get involved in real estate, in development? Where did your professional story, and even if there's some personal attributes that are a part of your origin, but where did this come from? How did you get started?
I got started in construction. My dream was, since I was 5 years old, I have the passion for construction. When I came to join my mother from Thailand, my mother and father picked me up from the airport in JFK. They brought me into New York City and looking at a skyscraper in Manhattan. And I always say, how in the world do you build something this big? Coming from a kid who grew up in the jungle of Thailand and to the jungle of Manhattan. And my passion was one this day I'm going to figure out how to build one of these buildings. At 14 years old, I was working for a friend of mine who was a labor union who cleaned the building up on a weekend while he's sleeping in the car. I was sweeping the floor for him, snacking at nighttime. And then I worked my way up, went to trade school, vocational school, and then got into a union for 5-year apprenticeship after I graduated from high school to work in Manhattan, one of those high-rise buildings, because you always never realize when you wish for something, it does come true. And then when I graduated in 1996, I started a construction company. And then the money I made, I bought up land and pre-developed, entitled the property to build custom home and became a land developer. And as progresses, I stuck to more land development and actually development than construction. Construction just a byproduct of education to get to where I am today.
So you said you started a business shortly after you completed an apprenticeship?
Yes.
Where does that come from? Depending on what type of business someone wants to start, there are specific things that you have to know about the industry. There's specific, do I have to get this sort of certification? Do I have to get this sort of license? There's so much nuance when it comes to starting a business. So when you first decided, I'm going to go into business for myself, what were the resources that you had at your disposal? Were there people who helped you? Did you go and research everything you needed to know? How did that piece come together?
That's a funny thing about business. You can't go to school and learn it. You have to go out and fail, right? So the biggest fear in life is, I have a slogan, said biggest fear is fear of failing. Without failing, there's no truth in education. Without truth in education, there's no success, right? The, the failure part is the biggest fear of human being. I went out and I started a corporation while I was going to apprenticeship, a DBA. I did a DBA called Sanford Construction DBA. I went to the county, someone told me I filed for $1, I had a DBA. As I progressed doing a side job, I came across network and colleagues said you need to open an LLC. And then a little bit of money I had, I hired an attorney to open an LLC. So by the time I graduated from 1990 to 1996, apprenticeship 5 years, I've already went through 4 or 5 different LLC. And then when I graduated to when I started Union Construction Company, my first contract, I believe, was $450,000. At that moment, I knew what an LLC was. Then you have to learn that you need to get insurance. You need to get property protected. You need an account. Then I joined the chamber to get the network and show up every day. Back in the day, they would do a monthly meeting and also a mixer. So it would be twice a month. I would network and shake. I'm the type of guy that would shake hands with anyone, talk to anyone. I have no prejudice on who it is and what they are. I'm always intrigued. Like this morning, I was at the gym. I was talking to 2 different guys and I never met them before. Now I walk in the gym. I seem to know everyone because I'm intrigued to understand what we do for living. Without proper communication, we could never learn. And if you try to learn everything yourself and you think you went to college and you align everything successfully, I do not believe you're never going to become success unless you go out and just try it.
Yes, that is something that lately we've certainly been stressing to our listeners and our audience, as amazing as it is to make connections online and to follow people on this group or that group. Yes, you have to leave your house and go meet people and talk to people when it comes to entrepreneurship. My next question for you is about how development ended up being the route that you took. As you said, the thought of developing buildings or facilities in New York City, even just thinking about it, it's like that is such a huge undertaking. And so I would love to know, what was it about the development piece that you were like, actually, I think this is what I want to do?
When I graduated, I started contracting, mainly commercial. I did a lot of work for Daughter Restaurant, so TGI or Ruby Tuesday. We went from job to a Fisher. Back then, Fisher Investment used to own Fisher Enterprise, and a lot of these retail companies like Ann Taylor, Banana Republic, they would go to Fisher to retrofit. Fisher would finance each site location basing on the feasibility study. Say if you own Ann Taylor, you want to put Ann Taylor in the mall. Fisher would come in and turn key, and then when the project have a CEO Fisher, they would sell the portfolio to Ann Taylor. Ann Taylor does not come in to manage the construction and fund the construction. It's done through financial company, right? This has to do with what I'm doing now. So you have to learn finance as you progress. Looking back on it, I said, so Fisher Enterprise is a financial company that used their financial to secure the guarantee from Fortune 500 so they can raise the money and then build the store and sell the store for profit. And then hire local GC to earn key each location, right? Same thing when you understand that what I'm doing now, affordable housing, we will come back to this segment and touch bases. So you have to have a passion for that, to love the construction. And when I was a kid, I loved the construction so much. When I got into Union, I do take study plan back home and sleep under the same bed as I have, and I will study it. So when I go in the next day, and at my apprenticeship, I became a foreman and a superintendent. So I grew rapidly because I have a passion for it. And then when I graduated, I started my own company. And one day I was building kinder care, and the guy was paying me approximately $1 million. I was calculating my profit to be about $300,000. This is 30 years ago. And I'm like, I don't make good money. But because he was hardly ever there and I did most of the work, sun up and sun down, when the project is almost done, he had a 15-year lease with KinderCare, another 15-year option. So the bank appraised the building at $4 million. Meanwhile, he bought it for the property for 5 and hired me for $1 million. So he spent 1.5 million and he just made 2.5 million in equity without lifting a finger. And I thought I was making all the money. I said, aha, I'm in the wrong business. I need to get into the development side.
I think what you just said, regardless of the specific industry folks are in, is so important. It's sometimes what's right in front of us seems like, yeah, this is the move. But once you learn about the other possibilities, or, oh, wait, this is the way that the real money is made, or this is the way that people are able to do it, it almost takes like having to learn the hard way in some senses to like really push you to move forward and to just see what else is out there. And I think that's such a relatable aspect of business for so many people. I love how you said that you used to study and sleep with the plans as you were in the construction phase of your life. Can you think of any crossover between your sort of design mind and your builder mind, and how that has helped you now in your founder, entrepreneur, developer mind? What are some of the crossover between those worlds?
You know what? That's a interesting question. You accomplished that in such a young age. And there's this one book, my younger brother who sponsored me into Books of the Month Club. And I ended up reading Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then my favorite books that no one ever talked about was An Ultimate Investor. I probably read the books 10 times and trying to figure out what is an ultimate investor. So to understand the cash flow quadrant, right? Business owner to self-employed. So how to grow from there into what make me crossover mind is that you have to want it. You have to want it. When you want it, you have to vision it. Without wanting something, setting a goal and visualize how to accomplish it, you're never going to get to where you are. And do not afraid to fail, because the more you fail, the more knowledge you gain. And I follow this kid to School of Hard Knock. He have 30 million followers, right? And every one of those billionaires he interviewed, they always say, I live in a campsite. I was homeless and I failed more than I succeed. And I feel like I have failed more than I have succeeded in my life. So this only way to, at this level, is just go up, not worry about failure anymore, because your failure become a experience of education.
This is certainly true. Yes, can just go into that for a long time. But yes, I would love to learn more about your current venture, Hudson Housing Lifestyle, and how, as a result of all the experiences that you've had, why this is currently what you're focused on right now.
During the construction of the commercial contracting, a friend of mine came to me. He said, I found property. This is 1986, 87. No, 2007, 2008, 2006, 2007. When I was building this commercial contracting, I had some money. He said, I found a property for you for $5,000. I said, what I need it for? He said, you need to build a house. So I looked at the property. I said, for $5,000? I said, it's wetland. So what he did was, there was one section, I bought it for $5,000, and he dug the trench and opened up the waterway for the water to drain. And a year later, that partial property was no longer wetland, because it's actually the reason it was built up, I believe, was clogging the drainage system. And then he taught me how to percolate the property, engineer to get the septic design done. Cost me $2,500 for the engineer back then, and then another $2,500 for such a drawing back in the day. So for $5,000, and then another $5,000 for $10,000, I had to improve lot. So I built this house with my friend, who happened to be working with me on a side job on a weekend for $80,000, and then real estate agent came and offered me like $340,000 for it back in the day. And I thought it was like, wow, why in the world do I want to go into commercial contracting? I can just take the land, develop it. and then build a house on it. So I took that money and bought 10-acre lot and subdivided and sold all 5 lots. Was back in the day, it was 2-acre lot until in the greater New York, they changed the 5-acre lots. So I took that, went into land development, and then I was buying tract of land, entitling the land with engineer and architect, and then selling it to builder and developer. We were in certain part of Pocono region. I was flipping the land entitlement to Toll Brother, and I learned how to do that to South Florida up and down the coast. And my goal was, one of these days, I'm going to develop a apartment complex so I can charge rent that I can take the land, entitle, build it, and hold on to it for long-term residual because I don't have to deal with capital gain. So that was 28 years ago. Now, today, with the construction background and a financial background and the entitlement land development, answering to the mission of New York governor to build 800,000 affordable housing to capture the workforce, not to flee to different states for economic, to solicit growth for the Hudson Valley, and also to make New York State competitive, to make it affordable. She passed a law in April of 2025 with massive subsidy up to $25 billion to assist the grant for developer to build these affordable housing.
This is just my knowledge of New York real estate. I love watching the Selling Manhattans and all the things. And you think New York real estate, you think big, flashy, just people making just lots of money. I'm really fascinated by the affordable housing angle and how this is where you found yourself. Can you talk to us a little bit about your personal, not even mission, but if there is any impact that you are proud of with the work that you're doing, aside from just the money part, what would you say that your impact is? And what is it that you hope that you're really bringing to the Hudson Valley?
The structure is that when the project is completed, we exit these affordable housing to a union pension fund to buy the senior debts. So going back to my union roots, and I believe in a strong workforce to create a middle class for circular economy. So if the federal and state is subsidizing it in the form of tax credit, it's government money. So how much more do you really need if you do scalable of 50 location, 5,000 unit, or approximately $3 billion in development? I want to be able to give some of that back to my union laborers, my union colleague, or my United Brotherhood to take that high-paying job to come and help rebuild their community. So when they finish it, they can drive by and say, I was there and I built that. And the money stay locally for economic growth. That's, I think, is the main key. The money is great, but you truly gotta love, once again, the love of construction, the love of development. Because then the day development have to deal with construction. Construction come first. For the passion with construction is what desire you to build something beautiful that you can drive by and say, oh yeah, I built that building,
No, I think that's great. I think that's a connection I didn't make until you just mentioned it. Your union roots, wanting your union brothers to be able to live and work and build a community that they're proud of. That's yeah.
Some of the building I built 30 years ago, I drive by it. Inside, I'm proud of myself as a kid, and I still get goosebumps. Even the house. I still drive by in my free time when I can and just get that feeling of my youth and say, that building's still there. I built that building,
I think that's such a wonderful way to think about one's career. You literally are able to look at something that you've built and see the progression of it. For anyone who's listening, and regardless of where they are on their career journey, regardless of what it is that they are building, do you have any further advice for them so that hopefully 20, 30 years from now, they can look back at their legacy and feel really proud about what it is that they're doing?
Yeah, the only advice I can say is shake the hand. Shake everyone's hand, build a network. Because to do what I do is a 35 years in the making of network. And I'm not saying everyone's going to love you. The more oddball you become, the more knowledge you become, the less you in the circle is. So what you do is you take that and have a ability to leverage that relationship so they can help you for the purpose of their own benefit, right? People only going to help you if it benefit them. But why would they help you? Because why would the union want to help? Because you create jobs. Why do the bank want to finance? Because they make money. Why does the community want to let me develop in their facility? Because it make them look good. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day is that you can do all these without people supporting or leasing this facility or make it happen. Humanity, we all need each other. And to start from day one to connect and create roster and index that you can benefit for your future business is probably the only way you can build a business, not some master college degree, because look at Bill Gates is a dropout. Mark Zuckerberg is a dropout. You know what I mean? All successful people went to college, never went to college for business. This is went for network.
Could you talk to us about any misconceptions that people might have when they hear affordable housing?
Yes. It's not vouchers or Section 8 housing, because most people think that's what affordable housing is. This is actually a market rate to make it AMI average medium income for the county based on the average rent roll. That's how much I can charge. For me to charge cheap rate, my county average $2,400 for 2-bedroom. However, the luxury rental is about $3,400 to $4,000 a month. I cannot charge that. I have to charge $2,400 a month. The reason is for me to build that, does the government subsidy and the tax credit come in? So this way it's become a true workforce housing for the nurses, the policemen, the firemen, and the local youth that's graduating from college that can afford to live here so they don't flee to out of state and be losing the talent for economic growth.
I think that's a great distinction and just further ties into the mission and the love for community that seems to be the sort of unspoken underlying theme of this interview, which is very fascinating. If people would like to learn more about you or the work that you're doing, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can seek us out. We have Instagram and we have website. Our website is www.hudsonlifestyle.com. And our Instagram, you can follow us. It's Hudson Housing Lifestyle. We just begin to launch our marketing campaign for the next 6 months. So therefore, we will be keeping an eye on, and we greatly would appreciate if someone begin to follow us or make any comment or any further question. We would love to answer your question. Just join us on one of these social media, look us up. And my assistant, Robbie, and I, we always on there trying to assist anyone that coming in to further wanted to educate themselves.
Nice. And actually, if I could just ask one follow-up about that. Yes, one of the many parts of the entrepreneurial journey is, of course, the marketing and the branding and the outreach. And since it sounds like you're really sort of embarking on this heavily for the next 6 months. What are your thoughts there as a founder? Is that something that you're embracing, something that you're like, okay, we know we have to do it, so I'm just going to get it done? Just curious.
I think you have to be excited to own a business because it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things, right? Especially in the growth period. You hear Elon Musk slept in a factory. You hear that he didn't take a payroll. When GM did not bail out Tesla, he was crying. And then people criticize him for what he is today, but people don't want to see the struggleness. They just want to see success. And then when you become success, they throw dots at it, but they don't understand how hard it is for that percentage of people who take that left turn and decide to walk alone to do what we do. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's gravy. What I do is the stress level is all day long is 100%. But yet you keep going because you believe in yourself, and then you know you can get it done with the right team in place to assist you. to that growth.
I think that was great. Thank you. Like you said, making the conscious choice to start something on your own and then be responsible for other people and responsible for the product. Like, it's crazy talk. And so meeting people who are doing it and who have done it successfully, it's genuinely fascinating to me. So I really appreciate
I would
the
love to
time.
follow up with you in 6 months to see our progress and just come back and rejoin you every 6 months because I enjoy talking about it. For years, I used to hide behind the camera and I have this insecurity about, look at my face. I don't need social media. But talking about it and educating people was something I always enjoyed. But I never thought that I'm going to enjoy doing it in a podcast or in video. As I do more of these for people like you, it make my marketing and my social skill to gain more confidence so I can speak more about it because I know how to do it. I just was never want to speak about it.
And that's kind of where we are.
Yeah.
People want a thought leader. And so, yeah, no, you did great. It was great.
To break it down into a segment and to discuss it, Robbie is a great help by rebuilding a website. She's extremely intelligent to assist my growth to where we are today. And we strongly believe in what we do, right? Yeah, money is great, but if you don't enjoy it, money is not going to make you happy. You have to love what you do first.
A few things stuck out with me from this conversation. First, failure as education. Nick's whole framework starts with the idea that the biggest fear people carry is the fear of failing, and that avoiding it is what keeps you from learning anything real. He's built a 30-year career on trying things before he fully understood how they worked. Next, the network is the business. He'll tell you it took 35 years of handshakes to do what he does now. And his read on why people help you is refreshingly unsentimental. They help because it benefits them. The union wants the jobs. The bank wants to lend. The community wants the wins. Your job is to understand what each person gets out of it, and that's okay. Next, know where the value is actually sitting. There's a moment in this conversation where Nick does the math on a project and realizes the person making the real money wasn't him. That realization moved him from contracting into development. Whatever industry you're in, it's worth asking who is capturing the value of your work. And finally, build something you'd want to drive past. Money comes up a lot in this conversation, but what Nick keeps returning to is the feeling of pointing to a building 30 years later and knowing he made that. That's the part, he says, you have to love first. For a deeper look at what this conversation may mean for your own business, head over to our Substack. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Farewell, and may all of your creative endeavors flourish. Could Be Pretty Cool News is a Could Be Pretty Cool original production. Created, hosted, and executive produced by Casey Lueders. Senior producer is Liz Moore, and supervising sound editor is Trinity Jackson. Our original theme music was composed by Camille Stennis and cover art designed by AJ Johnson. To learn more about Could Be Pretty Cool and discover whatever else we're up to, visit us at couldbeprettycool.substack.com. Thank you for listening. Could be pretty cool.